The stage is set at Worthen Arena. Brady Sallee leads the Ball State Cardinals in a matchup between the top two teams in the conference. Presley Hudson and Central Michigan look to claim the top spot. Women's basketball is next on ESPN3. Welcome inside Worthen Arena for this matchup between the top two teams in the Mid-American Conference. The Central Michigan Chippewas and the Ball State Cardinals are fighting for the top spot in the Mid-American Conference. With that, let's take a look at the standings. In the MAC West Division, you can see Central Michigan on top in a loaded division. Ball State just one game behind of Central with a chance to tie tonight. Here courtside alongside John Gordon, I'm Corey Stace. And John, we've already mentioned it, but in a game late in the season like this, there's some big implications on the line.
There definitely is. For Central Michigan, they could get the #1 seed if they win this, and the MAC regular season title is on the line in this game. There's a lot of pressure for Ball State, and they're looking to seek some revenge after their last trip to Mount Pleasant.
And that last trip came on January 11th, where Central Michigan got a 101-92 win. Presley Hudson was absolutely outstanding in that game.
43 points, that was her career high, and it came against Ball State. She had 27 points in the first half last Wednesday against Northern Illinois. She has my vote for MAC Player of the Year, Corey. I think she's going to be the star of the show tonight.
And on the other end of the spectrum for Ball State, it's the 6'5 center, Renee Bennett.
When in doubt, go to Renee Bennett. She's 10 of 13 from the field in their last matchup in Mount Pleasant against Central Michigan. Anytime Ball State has trouble, they go down low, and they're going to have to rely heavily on their 6'5 senior here this afternoon.
Both Presley Hudson and Renee Bennett will need huge nights tonight. A battle of first place in the Mid-American Conference. And now we take a look at the starting lineups for both of these teams. For Ball State, a different face in the lineup at that third position. Franny Frazier filling in for the injured Kaylin Jose. She will start her second consecutive.
Usually a spark plug scorer, Corey, coming off the bench. Franny Frazier is. Now she's going to have to play more inside in the Ball State offense and allow Mariah Monaco and Renee Bennett to get a lot of touches.
And Central Michigan, you saw on the graphic, 3 forward positions. They have 3 players 6 foot or higher. Presents matchup problems all over the floor. The top 2 teams in the Mid-American Conference, Central Michigan, will have the first crack.
Yeah, you said it there, matchup problems all across the board. Ball State, a lot of times they've had their size advantage in most Mid-American Conference games. This one's not going to be in their favor.
Cotton angles into the lane and kicks out to Frost. Hudson, 43 points last time versus Ball State, matched up versus Grande, and she misses her first shot.
Great job there, not allowing her to get inside the lane.
And there is head coach Sue Guevara for Central Michigan in her 10th season as the head coach. She is the winningest coach in Central Michigan history. Central Michigan gets another shot at it, stolen away by Frazier. Ball State in attack, but now slow up. Monaco for 3. The kind roll at home.
Pretty bounce there from the rim, but that play started with Franny Frazier. That could have been 2 points easily for Central Michigan down low. She was able to get her long arm up and move it up for Ball State.
Breen, another shot, another offensive rebound for Central Michigan, and Presley Hudson's first 3 of the night travels out of bounds. Now Ball State's head coach, Brady Sallee, in his 5th season. He has led Ball State in his first 4 seasons to 4 WNITs, the first Ball State coach to have that accomplishment, and he has this team primed for a run in the MAC tournament as well.
We really do have 2 phenomenal coaches squaring off. We talk about matchups on the court, but how about on the sideline?
Monaco, the second for her. 6 points early for Monaco. Puts Ball State up 6-0.
There to see Ball State attacking outside the perimeter, something Central Michigan did a lot with Presley Hudson in their last matchup. She had 43 points, but Mariah Monaco getting things started early.
Mariah Monaco was 6 of 10 last game versus Western Michigan from the 3-point line. Jewel Cotton in some trouble. Franny Frazier all over the defensive end, and Central Michigan 1 second on the shot clock. Hudson has to fire an air ball out of bounds.
How about that defense from Franny Frazier? Only her second start in a Ball State uniform, and she's coming out firing.
Mariah Monaco has all 6 points for Ball State. Franny Frazier, the best defender on this Ball State team. She's filling in for the injured Kaylin Jose, who's missing her 2nd consecutive game. A lob down to Bennett, and she gets on the board. 8-0.
Renee Bennett, a player we point out, a player to watch in this game. That's how Ball State gets you. They attack you outside with Mariah Monaco and Jill Morrison, and they feed it down low to Renee Bennett. Doing a perfect job here. 8-0 run to start off this game.
Central Michigan, nearly 2.5 minutes into this game, doesn't have a point, and they have struggled with the press in the half court from Ball State. Tanara Moore thought about the shot, defers Hudson. 2 seconds on the shot clock. She has to knife in, an extra pass and a shot clock violation.
I tell you, this is the best start Ball State's had in a game all season long. They've forced Central Michigan to 2 shot clock violations already, and we're only within 3 minutes into this game.
Central Michigan loves to press, and they love to push the tempo. 37 points in the first quarter of their last contest against Northern Illinois. That was a school record. Here's Morrison for 3. This one, no good, and Central has a chance to get on the board. Bennett steals down low, but stepped on the baseline. It still will be Central Michigan basketball.
One of the last things Coach Sally said to his team in their morning shoot-around, you know, you get so caught up in these big games and what do you have to do differently? He said even during big games, rebounding, toughness, hustle plays. Those are always the 3 biggest things in every single game, and we're seeing it so far out of Ball State.
Ball State likes to push themselves. They rank 3rd in the Mid-American Conference in points per game. And so Brady Sally likes to pair that toughness with a fast tempo. Here's Aaliyah Swery, who just checked in off the bench. Central Michigan can't buy a basket. Ball State basketball.
And Jill Morrison might have even gotten a tip on that ball. Here you saw a pump fake from Swery after Morrison got in her face. Morrison, great job gathering her feet, getting alongside her, and contesting that shot. 8-0 run for Ball State still.
Monaco, another 3. She was 2 of 2, but misses that one. Franny Frazier forces the jump ball.
And she almost had that last rebound, too, that Central Michigan had. She's doing a great job fighting every single play, and even when Central Michigan has the rebound, she's trying to bat it out. Luckily, she's able to get a jump ball. Ball State has another shot here.
Possession arrow points to Ball State. Off the ball foul on Central Michigan. And they will get Tanara Moore on the foul. That's her first and the team's first.
Tanara Moore and Renee Bennett, that's going to be a matchup to watch. We saw Renee Bennett go down low early on, but Tanara Moore, one of the only players in the Mid-American Conference that can really have a shot to shut down Renee Bennett.
No foul, but a travel on Franny Frazier as Cassie Breen went flying to the floor. Central Michigan still without a basket more than 3.5 minutes into this game. Presley Hudson has been harassed by Grande. Another steal for Ball State. They're out in transition. Bennett, no good. Central Michigan now has a shot to push, but they will slow it up.
Good awareness by Grande on that last time. She wasn't really looking at her defender. She was looking at the ball as she should. Able to turn things around. Ball State not able to get a point though.
Renee Frost gets the first points for Central Michigan. Finally on the board after 4 minutes of action on an offensive rebound second chance.
It's someone unlikely that you would have thought to score the first point. She is really a great defender and the best rebounder in the Mid-American Conference, but if she needs to have her game held down low, she will.
And Bennett, another 2 for Ball State. Still maintain that 8-point lead. Raina Frost is the top rebounder in the Mid-American Conference. She's also the 10th best offensive rebounder in the nation. So most of her points come on second chance. Another tip by Frazier. Frost thought about the mid-range jump shot on the baseline and a foul up top by Grande.
John Whitson, the head official for the night. These officials have been letting this game play out. I know it's early on, but they've let the players play a little bit. Not on that one. It looked like Carmen Grande got a little bit of an arm there on that foul. But you talk about earlier offensive rebounding, and that's what makes Central Michigan so good. They are a high-volume shooting team, and whenever they have 3 people over 6 foot rebounding, they're going to have success.
Jewel Cotton is called for the charge. Renee Bennett stepped in for Ball State. Jewel Cotton just checking in after Tanara Moore checked out. Brianna Simon and Destiny Washington checked in for Ball State as well. A bit of a different look offensively when Carmen Grande is not running the helm.
Yeah, it is, and Grande hasn't had the best of her performances the last few weeks, but at the same time, she still is a great person you want to always have in the lineup. She facilitates the offense well.
3 of 4. Mariah Monaco with 9 points already, giving Ball State an 11-point lead. A foul from Brianna Simon up top on Presley Hudson. 13-2, Ball State off to a quick start, an 11-point lead with 4:41 remaining in the first quarter. When we return, we'll check in with our sideline reporter, Matt Craig.
Once again, fans, welcome to Pride Mark Construction Day here at Worthen Arena. Joining Pat Quinn from the Youth Opportunity Center is Katie Thompson on behalf of Pride Mark President Mike Shore, who generously donated their tickets today. She will be providing a token of appreciation for Ball State athletics. Let's give Pride Park and the Youth Opportunity Center a big Cardinals round of applause.
School kids across East Central Indiana partook in Charlie's Reading Challenge this season. Read 4 books, and then get to check out Charlie and the Cardinals in action and visit from some of his friends.
See where the addition is later? Yeah. We actually sometimes work with the kids
Gotcha.
and kind of just
Gotcha.
explain how important reading is throughout school.
It was an elephant book, and there's some tension there in the middle. You know, then it all subsided, and we all found the water.
Good.
Our board talked about how there was missing paint, and there was a mystery, and we had to find out what the missing paint was. I have not read this one, but you're doing great. Let's find out.
Depending on the grade, they like Dr. Seuss, they liked Harry Potter, the Narnia Chronicles. What kind of books do you like to read? What part is your favorite? Me too.
The thing that was most exciting for us is a few of those 6 rules were reluctant readers, but there's ones that aren't as excited about reading. And an emotion like this, the opportunity to connect to Ball State was a real positive and really an encouragement for those students.
It amazes me like how smart these kids are. Like they just like keep working hard and they're just like so intelligent, so incredibly intelligent, and they just really showed it off. And that's the end. Nice. Nailed it. You did great.
You can be named a fan of the game and take home a terrific Cardinals fan pack simply by completing a fan of the game entry form in the Game 1 lobby at Worthen Arena. And season ticket holders be on the lookout for either an email or mailing in regard to potential MAC tournament scenarios, including a potential first-round game here at Worthen on Monday, March the 6th. If you have any questions, please visit the Stoops Buick GMC Ticket Center today.
Welcome back inside Worthen Arena, where Ball State leads Central Michigan early, 13-2. Mariah Monaco is on fire early with 3 threes. She has 9 points. That leaves her just 5 shy of the 1,000-point club in her Ball State career. Now, this is no surprise to those that knew her in high school. The Dover, Ohio native poured in almost 1,500 points in her high school career and comes from a very strong basketball family. Most people know about her connection to coaching legend Bob Huggins. But here's another family connection for you. Her brother, Anthony Monaco, played at Northern Kentucky with, in the 2014-15 season, Taylor Persons, who, as Cardinal fans know, transferred to Ball State, and this year leads the Cardinal men's team in scoring. Guys, back to you.
Thank you for that, Matt, and some great insight. And Mariah Monaco tributes a lot of her basketball talent to her brother, that high release that she has, especially you've seen it on her first 3-pointers. She did that early on
in her career as a basketball player to avoid her brother blocking her shot as they would play in the driveway.
Well, she comes from a basketball family, and that's part of what makes her such a great competitor. And that's what Coach Sally loves about her, is that even if she has a bad night, she is in the first one in the gym the next day putting up shots even after practice. And she really has shown it. She's improved a lot over her few years here at Ball State.
And only as a junior, 5 points away from the 1,000 career point club. 2 players have already gotten in that club this year for Brady Sally's squad. That's Renee Bennett and Jill Morrison. Central Michigan still only 2 points, more than 6 minutes into the game. Here's Morrison from 3, off to the right, and Hudson, the point guard, skies for the rebound.
Franny Frazier not in the game. Destiny Washington in now, but we even see it out of Destiny Washington. That rebound looks like it was all Central Michigan. She came flying in there, almost had a hand on it.
Aaliyah Swery gets into the middle of the lane for 2. Swery normally a 3-point shooter, but Central Michigan will take anything they can get at this point. 13-4. Ball State comes out on all cylinders, in large part to Mariah Monaco, who has 9 points.
Swery, a great shooter, you noted. Hasn't gone through one of her best stretches yet. 3 of 16 from the field in her last 3 games.
Renee Bennett, another one, and that's too easy for the 6'5 center. Central Michigan got confused on the defensive end.
Talked about size advantage going to Central Michigan's way, but Renee Bennett, she's 6'5", she no matter what is still the tallest player in the court.
Aaliyah Swery on the second chance opportunity. Pump fake drive, and it's blocked by Destiny Washington. A run out for Ball State. Simon to Destiny Washington and blocked from behind, but they will get Raina Frost for a foul.
You see there, great block. And talking about those hustle plays, that's one of them right there that we talked about Coach Sally noting earlier. You get it from Franny Frazier, you get it from Destiny Washington. Kaylin Jose not in the lineup, but it doesn't look like that's a problem right now for Ball State.
Kaylin Jose not being in the lineup, the biggest area that affects is on the defensive end, but Ball State holding one of the most prolific offenses in the Mid-American Conference to only 4 points, nearly 8 minutes into the game. As we see Franny Frazier and Carmen Grande check back in for the Cardinals.
I was going to say Central Michigan, they play very fast and up-tempo. In Ball State, it seems like their game plan is to try to one-up them, and they're trying to play faster than them, and it seems to be working. It's risky to do because you're talking about Carmen Grande, who last game had 8 turnovers, but at the same time, it's working for Ball State right now. Don't be surprised if they keep it up the rest of the way.
Carmen Grande right now very efficient, 0 turnovers and 4 assists so far in the first quarter. Here's Moore going to work on Washington.
Yeah, that right there, that is the size advantage. She just took a few steps, got down low. All of a sudden, she was a couple feet from the lane, just flick of the wrist, and it's in.
She has those long legs that seems like the strides just get her right down the lane, only at about 2 steps. Morrison drives, middle of the lane, and a charge on Jill Morrison. Morrison more of a 3-point shooter, that time trying to put the ball on the deck.
So Morrison just driving to the lane, and there it was. Cassie Breen just sets her feet.
Almost looked like she was in the restricted area, but the officials rule a charging foul on Morrison. Say Breen was set. Hudson has been held quiet in this game. She controls and gives down to Moore. Moore, the hook shot. Central Michigan still unable to crack that scoring seal and get a few consistent possessions. The Euro step from Grande blocked by Moore.
A pretty move there by Carmen Grande, but Moore's size just was shown there, the 6'3" junior. And that's what looks like Central Michigan's been going towards a lot in these last few possessions, is taking advantage of that size and getting it down to Tanara Moore, who has just been backing into the lane.
Mariah Monaco 3 points away from 1,000 in her career. Already 11 points in this first quarter, showing you she can do it not only from the 3-point line. Moore catches elbow. A traveling violation on Moore. Central Michigan not able to put possessions together. They are 3 of 14 from the field tonight and not doing themselves any favors in the turnover department either.
Yeah, Moore realized that right when the referee blew his whistle that she had established multiple pivot steps. But at the same time, very great first quarter here by Ball State. Up 9 points right now, and it seems to be swift for them.
There's a foul on Presley Hudson. And anytime you get one of these two guards with any personal fouls, the coach has to feel a little anxious. Presley Hudson and Carmen Grande, by far the most influential players on each of their teams with how this offense runs.
And how about the fact that both of them are sophomores? These are going to be a fun duo to watch in the next couple years, even after this season.
The sophomore point guards really in the Mid-American Conference overall. Stephanie Reed over in Buffalo in the MAC East Division is third in the nation in assists, just ahead of Carmen Grande within the MAC Conference. Deja Wimby from Western Michigan is in the MAC West Division as well, and she is playing tremendous, having a breakout sophomore year. The officials are checking something at the scorer's table. It was a kick on Central Michigan. And now John Whitson is calling Tanara Moore back over to the bench.
We talked about it earlier, though. Yeah, the guard matchup is just one of many matchups on the court that's going to be interesting to watch, because remember last time, Presley Hudson 43 points against Carmen Grande. And now we know Grande, she's not going to take that and just be okay with that going into the next time these two square off. And we've seen that early on. These players have gotten a little bit chippy with each other to start off.
Frazier left open in the corner, and the kindly roll. Amani Corley controls for Central Michigan to Breen. Three-pointer is no good, and over-the-back call on Raina Frost down low.
Shots just are simply not falling for Central Michigan. They really are getting good looks here. Not so much in the first quarter, but or in the beginning of the first quarter. But as this has gone on, they've gotten a lot of good looks from Breen and Moore, and especially Presley Hudson. They just haven't been able to fall.
That is 5 team fouls now on Central Michigan, which will send Renee Bennett, the 6'5" center for Ball State, to the free throw line. And she gets her first to fall. Renee Bennett became a member of the 1,000-point club earlier this season. And in the last meeting between Central Michigan, she had 22 points on 10 of 13 from the field.
How about the fact that Coach Sally here probably in this game is going to have 3 players on the court in the 1,000-point club. That just shows that how well these players have played with each other, and it's going to be sad to see them leave after it's all said and done.
Renee Bennett and Jill Morrison, both seniors on this team. Mariah Monaco, only a junior though, possibly going to get to that feat today. Only 3 points away. Frost in some trouble down low, throws it away to Grande. Corley almost steals it away in transition. 3 seconds on the clock. Grande pulls up for 3, and that's how the quarter will end. 20-6. Ball State leads by 14 at the end of the first quarter. When we come back, we'll get Carmen Grande's opinion on the differences between Spain and the United States.
Don't miss the fun on the concourse today. Visit the Kids Zone. There you will find a face painter, balloon artist games, and more. Check it out inside upper level gate 1. All right, fans, is your driver's license up to date? If not, get to an Indiana BMV location today. Time to see what it would look like in real time. Take a look at your vision for the driver's license cam.
Song I wrote, might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry, be happy. In every life we have some trouble. When you worry, you make it double. Don't worry,
the big difference in basketball between Spain and the US is that here the game is more physical and everyone here is like a really good athlete. Back home, it depends more on your coaches and we work a lot, so like technically back home everyone's really, really good. I think those are the main differences. Basically here is more physical and back home is more technical.
Carmen Grande, the old school highlights in Spain, going coast to coast. She already today, not on the scoreboard, but she has 4 assists and 2 steals. You hear her opinion on the differences coming over from Madrid, Spain to play at Ball State University. Central Michigan, 3 of 16 after that shot from the field. Franny Frazier pulls from mid-range, and Central Michigan in a run out.
How about Central Michigan shooting under 20%? Very uncharacteristic, but credit to Ball State. They have been trapping defenders quite often, and they have not allowed them to get to get the looks that they've wanted.
A turnover from Franny Frazier, who was actually a block by Carmen Grande from behind on Raina Frost. That gives Carmen Grande 4 assists, 1 block, and 2 steals. Doing it all but being able to get in that scorers column. She's 0 of 2 from the field today, but Central Michigan will get the ball back with the Ball State turnover.
We noted earlier she hasn't had the best offensive days as of late, but she gets it done in so many other areas of the game.
Cassie Breen way off with her 3-pointer. Coming into today, the last 2 games, Cassie Breen was shooting the 3 at 77%, but she has not been able to get one to fall. She is 0 of 2.
Yeah, statistically,
Destiny Washington down low, guarded by Presley Hudson, a huge mismatch.
Statistically, Cassie Breen's your best shooter for Central Michigan, and the fact that both her and Hudson, your 2 best shooters, have not made a basket, that does have to scare you if you're Coach Guevara.
Breen, here's another look at it, and this one falls through.
And right as I said, it goes in.
Cassie Breen has been playing lights out, 21 points per game in the last 4. Grande drives, and Central Michigan may be starting to develop some life.
Work on getting the ball down low. I know you have Renee Bennett down there, but still, you have 3 players over 6 foot, and one of them's Tanara Moore.
Presley Hudson with a crafty move to get it over to the defender. Hudson, her first points of the game. She had 43 in the last matchup versus Ball State. Now she has 2 in the second quarter.
And the deadly thing about Central Michigan is if they're not hot outside the perimeter, they have those bigs down low to get the ball to, so they're never out of any game.
A foul from Franny Frazier on Amani Corley. Central Michigan all of a sudden on a 5-0 run, and although it's not much, at least it gives them something to look forward to on the offensive end. They were only able to put together 6 points in the first quarter. 2 players from Ball State guarding the inbound pass, but Central Michigan able to get it in. Breen fouled on the shot. Cassie Breen will head to the free throw line for 2, and that's going to be the 2nd personal foul on Franny Frazier in only about 20 seconds, coming from behind, as you see on that replay.
That's one of those where you think Kaylin Jose normally doesn't get beat that often at that spot. Franny Frazier's been playing great, though, throughout the first quarter. And that definitely is one of those where you see Kaylin Jose, you look at her on the bench, and you wish she was healthy enough to play in this one.
Cassie Breen is the top 3-point shooter in the Mid-American Conference, but on that last play, she pump faked and drove by Franny Frazier. She also is not a bad free throw shooter, 88%, and she gets both to fall.
We have 2 teams squaring off, Corey, that are 1 and 2, or if not in the top 3 in most all offensive statistic categories, including free throw percentage.
And now it's Ball State that can't buy a basket. And Central Michigan already 7 points in the first 2.5 minutes in the second quarter, more than they had all the first quarter. Nifty pass tipped away by Renee Bennett.
Bennett got beat there early, but she was able to use the long left arm there and jab that ball out of bounds. If not, that was going to be a quick and easy 2 points for Tanara Moore.
Tanara Moore catches top of the key. She has the athleticism advantage over Bennett, and she uses it driving by.
She's coming off of one of the best games of her career, a near triple-double with 9 blocks, or you never hear about that.
Grande gets a 2 on the other end. The 9 blocks from Tanara Moore. Absolutely ridiculous. Almost a triple-double in that game. Had 24 points, 15 rebounds, and 1 block shy of that triple-double feat. Breen, the step-back 3. Central Michigan cuts the lead to 6. Grande drives into the lane, and a blocking foul. They will get Amani Corley as Grande was able to stutter step by.
And Central Michigan is doing it in a plethora of ways. They were under 20% from the field at the end of the, or coming into that second quarter, and now they've raised that above 30% mark again, and they've been going down low. They've been hitting mid-range shots. They're starting to get their groove back, and this is where Ball State needs to put the pedal back to the metal, because you're up by 6 right now. You still have a good distance away, a lot more than what people thought you were going to have coming into this.
Off the ball foul on Central Michigan. And that one goes against Presley Hudson. That's her 2nd personal foul. And that's critical. The all-purpose point guard for Central Michigan.
She's definitely not a player that you want to see in foul trouble late in this game with 4 fouls.
Monaco short on the 3. And Hudson stays in the game and collects the rebound. Hudson only 2 points so far today. Drives, the kick to Moore, muscles through and gets it to fall.
You mentioned how she has the athleticism advantage. She had 2 defenders down for Ball State right on her, and she was just muscling her way down. Mariah Monaco, someone who's still kind of gaining aggressiveness as the course of her career goes on, but it'll get there.
We talked about the matchup problems that Central Michigan presents. Mariah Monaco finding herself on Raina Frost at times, and Raina Frost has the rebounding advantage as Presley Hudson gets her 4th point. Monaco, a quick trigger, but it falls.
You might not have the advantage defensively, Corey, but Mariah Monaco, 4 of 6 from the field, 3 of 5 from the three-point arc.
And that's the 1,000th career point for Mariah Monaco with that last 3. 14 points already 15 minutes into this contest. She needed 14 coming into today. What a feat for Mariah Monaco to get 1,000th career points. And I'm not sure if she even knows.
We've talked to the coaching staff a few times after some games where some records have been broken or people have entered the 1,000-point club, and they're like, oh, really? Did that happen? They're focused on the game.
7-point lead right now for Ball State. The lead at the end of the first quarter was 14, but Central Michigan has crawled back. Morgan Glatchek checks in for the first time. She collects down low. The right hook doesn't fall. Amani Corley drives off the backboard and back to Ball State as they push in transition. It's Grande.
You see Ball State, as you said, they're pushing it. As soon as Central Michigan's shot goes up, there you see Carmen Grande. She's all ready to get the offense going again.
Morgan Glatchek with the personal foul. Central Michigan trailing by 7, but they're crawling back in this second quarter. We'll be back in the second quarter action of this contest.
All right, we got anything coming out, or? Yeah, I know.
first lucky seat giveaway, but congratulations today to David. That's David.
Back here, and Presley Hudson was the player to watch off the top. And last time on January 11th versus Ball State, she had a career night. 43 points, 6 assists, 13 of 18 from the field, and 9 of 14 from the three-point line. The 43 points broke a Central Michigan record. The 9 threes tied a Central Michigan record. But tonight, a little bit of a different story. Carmen Grande has been guarding her man-to-man, and she struggled with only 4 points, 2 of 5 from the field.
That matchup's a great one to watch. And then when you're talking Presley Hudson, and same with Central Michigan, Hudson, a phenomenal player and a smart player with a GPA that's hovering right around 4.0. But she's missed double figures 3 times this year in MAC play, and it's all been on the road. And in those games, she shot 21%. It may be something where it's just on the road, because that's at Central Michigan is at home. We know they're a great team.
And with more, we'll check in with our sideline reporter, Matt Craig.
Guys, I had a chance to listen in on the Central Michigan huddle at the last media timeout, and Coach Sue Guevara emphasized that the team was right there. She also focused on stopping the high ball screens for Carmen Grande, which is interesting because it's similar to what I heard from the Ball State sideline at the quarter break, talking about stopping those ball screens and communicating on the Central Michigan ball screens, or the high ball screens, excuse me, for Presley Husband.
Thank you, Matt. And both of these point guards, we've mentioned it all game, both very talented players. Presley Hudson finds herself on the bench right now. But 43 points last game versus Ball State, and both of these guards like to use pick and rolls at the top of the key to get themselves open offensively. And Washington pump fakes, drives, and is blocked by Moore.
And it's so effective now for Carmen Grande as she's developed her offensive game scoring too. And when she has those high ball screens, not only is she able to facilitate the offense, but she has some moves down low that she's been showing off. She hasn't been hot from the three-point arc as of late, but we've seen throughout the season she's not afraid to shoot it deep.
Frost from the elbow. It connects. Central Michigan only within 5. 31-26. Ball State leads. A 14-point lead at the end of the first quarter is only down to 5. Morrison, a jumper. Washington, the offensive board, and back out to reset things for the Cardinals. Grande blows by Frost, but botches the layup.
And she doesn't even need a high ball screen, and she's able to do that. But as we said, she hasn't been able to get those to drop down low. But at the same time, it's just even plays like that that kind of keep you backing off a little bit of Carmen Grande.
Cassie Breen's lob to Tanara Moore, way over her head. And Ball State will get the ball back with Renee Bennett checking in for Morgan Glatchek, the freshman.
Those lob passes, that's something Ball State struggled with in their last game against Western Michigan. Of course, that was 24 hours after they were notified that Kaylin Jose was not going to be able to play because of her injury, so a domino effect of things not clicking could have been that case, but at the same time, they've been good at doing that all season long.
Renee Bennett overpowers Cassie Breen on the block. Breen won on a switch, got matched up with the 6'5" center, and Ball State went right to her. Frost driving by Washington, kicks back out to Corley.
Destiny Washington's done a great job of keeping the post to herself against Frost.
Breen catches right wing, 5 on the shot clock, thrown away, but they're gonna say it was last touched by Ball State. 4 seconds remain on the shot clock. Central Michigan will have to get a shot off. Inbounds to Moore, over Renee Bennett, and it falls.
I don't think Renee Bennett was really ready for the inbounds to happen. She wasn't set on Moore, but at the same time, they're gonna do that. When in doubt, they just feed it down to Nara Moore.
Carmen Grande not efficient from the field so far. That's her 8th field goal attempt, only 4 points, as she misses another layup, that one contested by Corley. Nearly a minute and a half remaining in the half. Breen for 3, almost cut the Cardinals' lead to 2. Washington catches, low block, up with it, offensive rebound and the putback.
We talked about Central Michigan having some offensive boards earlier in this broadcast, but Ball State's been showing it at the same time.
Ball State leads in the second chance opportunity department. Only 4 second chance points for Ball State compared to Central Michigan, who only have 2. A throw away from Central Michigan. And that was one of the biggest factors for Brady Sally coming into this game, was box out on the defensive end, because Central Michigan has size and they have some talented rebounders.
They really do, and you have Renee Frost, who is the best rebounder in the Mid-American Conference. She's only a sophomore, Corey. She only stands at 6 foot tall. Usually if you hear best rebounder in the Mid-American Conference, you would expect a girl like Renee Bennett, but she just used that athleticism, and she's so powerful.
Washington gives Ball State the second chance. Morrison!
Central Michigan hit a shot like that at the end of the first half last time these two teams played. I think that was Ball State's version of doing that there with Jill Morrison.
A timeout by Central Michigan. Sue Guevara in her 10th year will take the timeout as Ball State crawls back and creates that 10-point lead. They had a 14-point lead at the end of the quarter as we take another look at Morrison.
Beautiful shot right from the corner. She likes it from the wing and she likes it from the corner, and she's gotten fed that spot quite a few times.
Carmen Grande with that last assist has 6 assists already in the first half. A player that averages nearly 7.5. Already 6 in the first half, and she will probably be headed to the bench for offensive defensive substitution in these last 32 seconds, trying to avoid that second personal foul at the end of the half. 10-point lead for Ball State. Central Michigan won this battle last time on January 11th, 101-92. This one, less scoring, but just as competitive.
And Presley Hudson on this one, that's an interesting factor for Central Michigan. And Tanara Moore at the top of the key.
Tanara Moore can take 3. She's hit 8 on the season. She elects to drive instead and is fouled from behind.
It's a good job of Renee Bennett being able to angle out Tanara Moore outside. She's able to angle her out there until Destiny Washington can help out. But at the same time, she ends up getting to the free throw line, so it's a win for Central Michigan's Tanara Moore.
Washington will be called for the personal. Coming over from the help side. Tanara Moore, a 6'3" junior out of Southgate, Michigan, actually played with fellow teammate Amani Corley in high school. And in high school, they reached 1,000 career points together on the same game. Both of these two teammates then took their talents to Central Michigan. 8-point lead for Ball State, 6 seconds on the clock. Grande drives all the way, reverse layup, it goes! 10-point lead for Ball State at the end of the half. Carmen Grande creates her own shot. Ball State on top of Central Michigan by 10.
Momentum is shifting towards Ball State's way once again. Plays like this from Jill Morrison.
All right, fans, to begin the halftime intermission, we present the Meyer Grocery Cart Ball Toss. As we get things set up, we'd like to thank Meyer for their generous donation to the Cardinal Kitchen, a campus group focused on feeding the hungry here in the Ball State community. The Cardinal Kitchen collected non-perishable items at today's game. Well done, Cardinal Kitchen, and thanks to Meyer. Now back to the court, we have David, who has 45 seconds to try and make a shot in each of the Meyer shopping carts. The more shots made, the bigger the prizes. David, 45 seconds on your mark. Get set and go. Bounce it in there on the fly. It's got to stay in the cart. There's one. That's going to be taken away. Got about 30 seconds. Need a little bit more arc on that ball. 20 seconds. 15.
Welcome back inside Worthen Arena. It's halftime as Ball State concluded an impressive first half and holds a 40-30 advantage at the break. Carmen Grande, 6 points and 6 assists. Mariah Monaco leads the Cardinals with 14 points. Jill Morrison doesn't lead the Cardinals in points, assists, or rebounds, but she's undeniably the heart and soul of this Ball State team. That maturity and leadership was born due to the experiences that she has had on and off the court.
I think basketball has been a major factor, and it started with my career, and then as we went on, the kids that were little, and I worked with each one of those. And my daughter, she's been everything you'd ever want.
Honestly, I think the passion developed early in life. I can remember going out to the Y with my brother and my dad and playing in those little youth leagues. So February 20th, we're playing Western Michigan at home. It's our pink game. Third possession of the game, I go after a loose ball. Apparently, I went up on the back of a Western Michigan player's foot. I get up and I know right away, I take my first step, something is wrong. They found out I tore my Liz Frank ligament in my foot, which is a major ligament that you need.
Her mental state and her drive to play, you just couldn't keep her, you just couldn't hold her back.
She's a go-getter. I wanted her to heal. And that was probably the last thing on her mind, was to heal.
I knew something was wrong with me, but I didn't know what it was. And being a guy and everything, I just kept thinking, well, it's going to go away, it's going to go away, but it never went away.
I remember calling my mom, and I said, what's really going on with Dad? And she's telling me, explaining to me some things, and she said, maybe you could talk to him and maybe talk some sense into him and see if we can get him to go to the doctor.
I went to emergency room. I didn't know anything. I just wanted to be checked out, and The doctor came in, he wanted to have a consultation with me, and him and the nurse was there, and he told me, he said, your CAT scan tells me that you've got a mass that's 6 or 7 centimeters. I said, well, you know, what's that mean? And he said, well, basically he said you've got cancer. And so, you know, that was quite a shock. And then the doctor, after he told me I had pretty much had cancer, he told me, he said, Mr. Morrison, he said, you're going to die if you don't follow up.
Welcome back inside Worthen Arena, where Ball State leads this MAC contest 40-30 over Central Michigan between the top 2 teams in the Mid-American Conference. And these 2 teams have 2 of the most experienced coaches in the Mid-American Conference, with Brady Salih for Ball State and Coach Sue Guevara for Central Michigan. Sue Guevara in her 10th season, and on February 15th became the winningest coach in Central Michigan history when she captured her 172nd victory with Central Michigan. Now, interestingly, she's also she has the most wins in Michigan women's basketball history, over 120 in her career with Michigan. But in her time with Central Michigan, she's only made it to the NCAA tournament, winning the MAC tournament once in 2013. This year's team has the best chance of making the tournament from that squad. Sue Guevara also spent 1 year on the bench coaching Ball State coming out of college in 1985 and 86. We'll be back with halftime stats and highlights of this great MACtion. 40-30, Ball State leads inside Worthen Arena. Welcome back inside Worthing Arena, where Ball State leads Central Michigan 40-30. At the break, let's take a look at the first half highlights. The story early on was Mariah Monaco, who hit 3 threes before the first media timeout, including that very friendly bounce. Once they were able to establish the outside shots, the inside came a little bit easier for Renee Biddet after a great pass from Carmen Grande, and then Mariah Monaco hit a 4-3, and that was her 1,000th point in her Ball State career. However, Central Michigan was not going to go down without a fight. This became a hotly contested contest down the stretch of the first half. Destiny Washington with a great shot there. Central Michigan was able to rally and start hitting some shots from behind the arc, as we see there. And Presley Hudson, who was quiet in the first half, got going near the end of the half. Let's take a look at some stats. Obviously, Ball State leads 40-30 and has a 2 rebound advantage, 20-18. That was something that Brady Salee definitely emphasized at the quarter break, saying we need to grab every single rebound. Central Michigan, 8 turnovers in the first half. And of those 5 threes for Ball State, Mariah Monaco has 4 of them and also leads 16-10 in points in the paint. An impressive performance from Ball State in the first half. When we come back, we'll have second half action for you here in Worthing Arena. Ball State 40, Central Michigan 30.
Halftime at Worthing Arena, 40-30. Ball State leads the top-ranked Central Michigan Chippewas within the Mid-American Conference. John, a lot at stake in this game. Central Michigan, the top team in the Mid-American Conference. Ball State in the number 2 spot. But this game really rides on it. As late as this game is in the season, Ball State has a chance to tie Central Michigan for the top spot in the MAC.
Biggest game for both teams, definitely. And for Central Michigan, you get the first seed if you win this game, and that's very important. And at the same time, when you go ahead and you turn around and you look at Ball State, if they win, now they are one step closer to getting that number 1 seed. Obviously, there's tiebreakers and things like that, and ultimately Central Michigan owns the tiebreaker after you get a few down the list. But if Central Michigan could lose one more game after this, if Ball State were to win, now you have Ball State as the number 1 seed.
And there you see both guards on the screen. Presley Hudson and Carmen Grande both had not their best halves, but still had good halves. As we take a look at the MAC standings, Central Michigan 13-2 in the Mid-American Conference, 21-6 overall. Ball State is 12-3 in the Mid-American Conference, and John, you just referenced it. If Ball State were to win today, they'd bump up to 13-3. Central Michigan would also be 13-3. In the tiebreaker situation, first games they look at is head-to-head matchups. These teams would be 1-1. Second matchup they look at is MAC West record, which both of these teams would have the same MAC West record. And then third, they go to the record versus the next top team in the conference, and that would be Northern Illinois. Central Michigan swept Northern Illinois this year. Ball State split the two games. So as you were mentioning, Central Michigan would have the top seed in the MAC tournament. Ball State would need a little bit of help. They would need some help from either Eastern Michigan or Western Michigan, who are Central Michigan's last two games.
And how about the Mid-American Conference? It's always competitive, and we're talking about #1 seeds. It might not mean anything because last year the 3 of the top 4 teams that got that bye to Cleveland didn't even get out of their first game. So it's all just hypotheticals at this point. But at the same time, the Mid-American Conference from the preseason poll to now it's always crazy. It's always up in the air. 2 of the 3 teams in the bottom of the preseason poll this year are currently in line for a top 4 seed in a bye to Cleveland. Kent State, Northern Illinois shocked the MAC this year.
Right off the start of the half, Franny Frazier drives, and that's a critical foul, even though it starts only 8 minutes into the second half. Jewel Cotton picks up her 3rd personal. We only saw about 5 minutes of playing time from Cotton in the first half, and that was due to 2 personal fouls. Franny Frazier only able to get 1 of 2 to fall from the free throw line. Sue Guevara will elect to keep Jewel Cotton in as she works down low on Franny Frazier. They find her, post move, and misses the shot though. Renee Bennett stumbled down low, and slow to get up is Bennett. She threw it away, but I think the bigger sign of relief is just that she's able to get up okay, as she was slow to start.
And she's a competitive player, so maybe the reason she laid on the ground for a bit is because she was upset with that she wasn't able to get the pass off as well.
Presley Hudson only had 4 points in the first half for Central Michigan, their leading scorer. It was more Cassie Breen who controls the basketball now at the free throw line. Down to Raina Frost. Cotton finds more. Hook shot, no good.
Good box out there by Franny Frazier, not allowing Raina Frost to get around her, and you're talking about the best rebounder in the Mid-American Conference. Boxing her out on the offensive side of the board is huge.
Nice ball movement from Ball State. The pass was tipped, and Mariah Monaco collects the assist to Bennett. On the defensive end, Ball State coming out similar to what they did in the first half. Central Michigan not able to get a clean shot.
You talked about foul trouble for Central Michigan. When you're down 13 in the third quarter, it's one of the toughest things you could have is just be thinking about foul trouble later on coming into this game, because you got to continue to play aggressive and get the boards back if you want to take the lead back.
Central Michigan in transition. Moore has Franny Frazier guarding her. The double team comes, and Central Michigan will reset. Cotton drives, kicks out to Moore, a 3-pointer on the way, and it rattles through. Tanara Moore's 9th 3, rather her 7th 3 on the season.
She reminds me so much. Her and Renee Bennett are really so similar, and especially in that one, is they both do have a shot outside the arc. They don't do it a lot, but they do have a shot, and they could threaten you with that from time to time. Usually Renee Bennett will put one up at the beginning of each game, and a beautiful move down there. She's able to establish her presence there. She was sitting underneath the basket for a good 6-7 seconds and able to get 2 more points for Ball State.
Jewel Cotton fell down on the defensive end. And now Carmen Grande will pick up the personal foul as she pushes Presley Hudson to the floor on the handoff.
Yeah, just hit her wrist there. It looks like Presley Hudson a little bit of a flop. I don't usually know too many people falling down after getting hit in the wrist. But
you did see the push after Presley Hudson got up after tripping, which that's where the official got the foul, after Presley Hudson had already handed the ball off. 12-point lead for Ball State, 45-33. Central Michigan not in a position that they're used to. They are used to leading after the first half. A team that's only lost 6 games, and there's Cassie Breen picking up where she left off in the first half.
Central Michigan, every time they've led at the half, they've won this season. So Ball State putting themselves in a good spot. Here's Renee Bennett there, and once again, 3 defenders around her. She's still able to get to the free throw line and generate some points.
You mentioned that Central Michigan 18-0 when leading at half. That means they've only not led at the half in 9 games this season. In those 9 games, they are 3-6. So a huge increase for Ball State that they were able to go into half with the lead. Even if it's not something statistically, it's at least mental for Central Michigan to be trailing.
Absolutely. And some of these players are so much alike. We compared Renee Bennett to Tanara Moore. You have Presley Hudson. You have Carmen Grande. And throughout the board, the rest of the way, it goes all the way down the list. You have Mariah Monaco and Renee Frost. Obviously, Renee Frost on the board, she's a lot different than Mariah.
Carmen Grande switched up against Tanara Moore. Presley Hudson was on Renee Bennett down low for a second. They still find her even though Tanara Moore switched back.
That's the game plan here for Ball State in the second half. It's working. They've been just feeding it down to Renee Bennett down low, and they're gonna keep doing it.
A timeout by Sue Guevara on the Central Michigan side as Jewel Cotton dives to the floor for the timeout call. 48-38, Ball State leads by 10.
And it's been Renee Bennett all day long, and that's what they're gonna keep doing. They feed it down low, couple passes, get it to her underneath the rim. There it is.
Ten-point lead for the Ball State Cardinals with 6:39 remaining in the third quarter. Ball State got out to a 10-point lead at the half, and they have continued that lead. Both of these teams, storied programs and also playing well tonight. as you take a look at the MAC dominance that both of these teams had. 2012, 2013 was the year that Brady Sallee came into this league in his 5th year at Ball State. And since then, both Ball State and Central Michigan have had tremendous success within their Mid-American Conference games.
Year to year, it's no surprise. Talked about the preseason polls. Well, Ball State and Central Michigan were 1 and 2, for Central Michigan being 1. And you have to credit to the coaches. We've talked about the matchups, but it's Coach Sallee and Coach Guevara. Their resumes are so well put together that really that's why Ball State and Central Michigan, year in and year out, even if they lose players, they're able to be a dominant team in the MAC.
3 on the shot clock. Swery catches corner, drives, and gets it to go at the buzzer.
A lot of times we've seen Central Michigan late in the shot clock. They start to panic, not able to get something put together. There, you saw them improve in that category and able to drive baseline, get around some Ball State defenders.
Washington catches elbow, is left alone for a moment and takes 1 step but misses the jump shot. Breen with the quick fire, and they cut the lead to 5.
Now you're at the point where Central Michigan's just a couple possessions away from taking the lead. You have to keep doing what you've been doing and keep going in that fast break for Ball State, getting it into Renee Bennett's hands.
Renee Bennett there misses the jump shot. Likes to catch Moore on the low block. Moore, 3 straight away, it falls. Timeout Brady Sallee. 48-46, Central Michigan cuts back to Ball State's lead.
Just hands it to Tanara Moore, and we've talked about her, a big man for Central Michigan, but she's got game from outside the arc.
Tanara Moore with the fire, and she already had a 3-pointer early in this game, and that's her 8th 3 now on the season. She has taken 25 on the season. Her and Renee Bennett like to do most of their work on the block, but both players can step out.
Absolutely, we've seen it. We haven't really seen it out of Renee Bennett today, but don't be surprised, it'll come. But we have seen it out of Tanara Moore, and she's been impacting this game in multiple ways. She's got 18 points for Central Michigan, 7 of 10 from the field, and 2 of 2 from the 3-point arc. That's 6 points that has cut down the lead that really have surprised Ball State.
And Central Michigan was trailing at half by 10, something they are not used to, but in all 6 of their losses this season, they have trailed at half, and here's all 6 of them. 5 of them have come on the road. This is a team that is 5-5 away from home. They are 14-1 at home. The only loss at home was against Elon. That game came way back in November of this year, but also they've played some tough competition on the road. You see the likes of Notre Dame, Purdue, Middle Tennessee State is a team that made the tournament last season, and then obviously the 2 Mid-American Conference losses.
And it's tough to go to Buffalo. Buffalo was on that list, and you're talking about going to New York to play basketball, a plane trip. It's tough to do, and Buffalo is another team that they get that confidence of beating Central Michigan. Maybe something in the MAC tournament happens, and that could be another reason why Buffalo has been able to shock some people. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Central Michigan is not the same on the road as they are at home.
Central Michigan coming out of the timeout by Sue Guevara. Ball State was leading by 10, and all of a sudden, just like that, with the snap of a finger, an 8-0 run. 48-46, Ball State only leads by 2.
And Sue Guevara does such a great job of keeping her players calm, cool, and collective, and we've talked about that resume, and she's got a great coaching staff. That's every one of her coaches on her staff has been here for at least 3 years.
And with this time in the timeout, we'll take a chance to check in with the men's basketball score for Ball State. Western Michigan leads at half, 38-27. That is a big game for the men, because if Ball State were to win that game, they would win the MAC West title. Ball State fighting for a bye into Cleveland. Ball State's men's team really wants that one of the top 4 seeds, and the MAC is so tight in the men's basketball side that they could go anywhere from 2 to 7. And that's really just the astounding play of all the teams in the Mid-American Conference. Akron has the first spot locked up, but really the rest is up for grabs.
Definitely, and when you look at the men's
And with Ball State, historically, they need that top 4 seed. That's something they've been working so hard to get at, because last year they had an early exit. It would be great for Ball State athletically to have both their men's and women's get a top 4 seed.
2-point lead for Ball State. We'll check in with our sideline reporter, Matt Craig.
Guys, the mood in the Central Michigan huddle was very excited. Coach Sue Guevara kept saying, this is our time right here, right now. Their focus was on stopping Renee Bennett. They said, other than Mariah Monaco, they don't have a lot of shooting on the floor. We have to eliminate Renee Bennett's offense. Guys.
Thank you, Matt. And I think that's probably a thing that any coach facing Ball State would say, is that Renee Bennett is the person to stop down low.
Easier said than done.
Destiny Washington catches right side. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Monaco had 14 points in the first half, 0 here in the second. Grande, Washington with the 3. Not a 3-point shooter. Central Michigan with a chance to either tie or take the lead.
But you saw Renee Bennett was trying to get open. Ball State was trying to feed it down low, and they kept 2 girls down low on Renee Bennett at all times. She just wasn't able to get enough space.
Breen navigating around Grande. Central Michigan has not led this entire game. Blocked by Destiny Washington. Hudson tried to get in the lane. Grande on the push, all the way, coast to coast, lefty flip.
And when you look at Ball State and a stat that sticks out, they have 14 points off the turnover. And that is in Central Michigan only has 2. So that is where Ball State has been able to push it.
2 straight blocks from Destiny Washington. There is a clock issue, as you see on the bottom right side of your screen. The shot clock did not reset when Ball State received the possession. Shot clock right now in Worthen Arena reads 20. Now they get it fixed. A good catch by the official on the floor.
One of the big storylines, Corey, coming into this game was Kaylin Jose is not able to play. But Destiny Washington and Franny Frazier have really picked up the slack there, and we saw it. Destiny Washington back-to-back blocks, and their presence has been known. Her long arms are able to really be effective for her. She doesn't need to be right up next to the defender. It's never over whenever you have Destiny Washington guarding you.
Washington doing it in multiple areas today. 6 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, along with 3 assists. Frazier, who just checked in, gets blocked on the other end. Cotton loses possession of the ball. They will say it was last touched by Frazier out at half court.
Interesting. She swiped her arm right, and it went the opposite way. So we'll probably get a good look here on the replay.
And that was the block by Swery on the other end. Breen hits a 3 from the corner. Cassie Breen has been the offense for Central Michigan. 17 points. Tanara Moore, the leading scorer, with 18, but those 2 have been the cognizant. Monaco back cut, and she gets that layup to fall. 3-point lead for Ball State.
Good to see a player, if you're Coach Ellie, like Mariah Monaco, charging at Tanara Moore, not afraid to get up at that baseline.
Swery, the pump fake, and the shot falls through. 1-point lead for Ball State, and Brady Sallee yells at Carmen Grande to slow things up.
Tight game here inside Worthen Arena. Titus, it's really been all game. And Ball State hasn't allowed Central Michigan to really go on any long runs. But at the same time, Ball State, it would be nice to see them put a run together themselves.
A foul off the ball called on Tanara Moore, her second personal. Renee Bennett was cutting to the basket. Central Michigan has not led this entire game. They have cut it to 1 now here in the third quarter. Washington left open at the elbow and gets the friendly roll.
That's exactly where Destiny Washington wants to be shooting the ball. We've seen her get that look a few times, right outside the free throw line, and it'll fall through for Washington.
Breen with 17 points, catches on the right wing, feeds down to Cotton.
Cotton with 3 fouls, so it'll be interesting to see how her aggressiveness plays out throughout this half.
Swery the 3, it's tied, 54. Washington not expecting the pass, but then drives and muscles one through.
Here we go. We could see it here, Corey, for the next 12 minutes. It could just be a battle of possessions, and whoever ends up having the last one could win this game.
Both these teams can score the last matchup as Tanara Moore gets the layup to fall and the foul. A chance to give Central Michigan their first lead of the game at the free throw line.
Well, some fouls are good fouls, but when you're behind the back like that and you don't really end up affecting where the ball goes, not a great foul there for Franny Frazier. Didn't get as much of the arm as I thought she did.
Tanara Moore has dominated in this game. 20 points, only 3 rebounds, but she is 8 of 11 from the field. And she cashes in the three-point play to give Central Michigan their first lead of the game.
And it's been a battle of the bigs all day. It's Renee Bennett at times, and then you turn around and you see Tanara Moore going off. But really, we've thought that Presley Hudson was going to be the star of this show. And Tanara Moore has shown that she can compete with Renee Bennett, and that she is one of those big men that could be the one that could shut down Renee Bennett.
Tanara Moore is hurt on the play, but Central Michigan on the push-out. Hudson drives left lane and gets called for a travel.
Yeah, she's holding her eye there on the back end of the court. Might have gotten poked.
And here's a replay of the play. Renee Bennett maybe came through and hit her with the left arm. As you saw at the end, it wasn't the initial shot, but the follow-through that Tanara Moore came up a little injured. I believe the officials are going to stop play. Not for Tanara Moore, but actually to take another look at that play. And anytime a player is hit in the face, the officials like to go to the scorer's table to take a look and see if there was any malicious contact. John Whitson, Jeff Cross, and Natasha Harris are officials tonight.
Nothing intentional out of Renee Bennett. She is not that kind of player, but yeah, you're right. Anytime someone gets hit in the head, also for Central Michigan, for Tanara Moore, this is a good break here to kind of gather yourself, because anytime you get hit in the eye, things get blurry, tears start to form up in the eye, so good time for her to rebound.
Central Michigan has just taken their first lead of the game, 57-56. And here's another look. Not the initial contact, but the follow-through with the left hand. You see Renee Bennett ended up making contact with Tanara Moore's face. And that's where the injury occurred, and that's what these officials are over at the scorer's table taking a look at.
How about the fact that Central Michigan now has the lead in this game? This is a spot that it's surprising that it's taken up till now for that to happen. Not many times have we been able to say that throughout this broadcast, but now that they do have a lead, it's a new game. And if you're Sue Guevara, head coach for Central Michigan, that's what you got to be telling your players. It's a whole new game. It's 0-0.
And this stoppage in play may be actually a good thing for Ball State to recollect themselves. Tanara Moore, a big piece for Central Michigan in this game. Presley Hudson had 43 last game against Ball State. She only has 4 tonight, so someone has to take care of the scoring department, and Tanara Moore has stepped up to the occasion. 21 points for her on 8 of 11 from the field. She is also 2 of 2 from the three-point line and 3 of 3 from the free throw line.
She can do it all.
These officials taking a long look at this play, making sure that Renee Bennett, nothing malicious, and it looks like they may have stopped watching the play and now just discussing what just occurred.
Tanara Moore, as we see once again, see that play down low.
And it's not the initial contact. She went up, the elbow was close to the head, but then it's the left arm coming through and hitting the head of Tanara Moore.
Looks like it got her right in that right eye. Tanara Moore, 60 blocks this season. And she's coming into this game, she was 3 away from a program single season record. She's got 2 so far today. So she could top that one. And that just goes to show what kind of player she is.
Tanara Moore had 9 blocks last game versus Northern Illinois.
Incredible.
1 block away from a triple-double. You rarely hear that, if ever. The last person that I can ever remember doing it may have been Andrew Bynum in the NBA. And Andrew Bynum is now out of the NBA, if that tells you anything. Back in his days with the Lakers.
How about, speaking of triple doubles, how about Russell Westbrook's the other night? 17 points, 18 rebounds.
That guy is fantastic. The Thunder lose Kevin Durant, and the way that Russell Westbrook's been able to take over the reins in Oklahoma City. He had 17 assists. It is going to be just a common foul as the officials break off. A long stoppage in play gave both teams plenty of time to go over to huddles and maybe even draw up a play for this possession for the Cardinals.
Ball State forcing it down low once again.
And Bennett responds after the foul call.
There was a lot of space there that Bennett had down low. It was only a matter of time before they saw that.
And I misspoke. It was actually a no call, not a common foul on Renee Bennett on that last possession when the officials went back to look at it. 1 point lead for Ball State. Swery gave Central Michigan the lead and now controls corner, but swung around to Moore. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Frost, pump fake, no good with the shot. Ball State has a chance to take a more commanding lead at the end of the third quarter. Renee Bennett lines up from 3, and she can't respond from Tanara Moore's 2 that she's hit today.
And on that last possession, great to see Mariah Monaco not allowing space of Renee Frost and not allowing her to gain too much ground beyond where Monaco stands. That's what Ball State needs this game if they want to win. They know they have that with Renee Bennett, but it's other players like Mariah Monaco and Destiny Washington.
2-second difference between game clock and shot clock. A step back from Presley Hudson. No good with the shot. Ball State has 2 seconds. Grande will have to heave, and it will come up way short. Ball State leads, though, at the end of the third quarter. Central Michigan took their first lead of the game. Ball State responds. We'll have an exciting fourth quarter when we return. look back at our players to watch. Presley Hudson tonight, only 4 points. The player to watch coming in because she had 43 last time against Ball State, but she struggled a bit tonight.
She really has, and it's been the defense for Ball State, and then you turn around and you look at Renee Bennett, and she's having a great game, 8 of 14, and she did this the last time they matched up too.
Presley Hudson, although she's not in the scoring department as much, she does have 7 assists. Renee Bennett on the other side, 18 points with 6 rebounds. 1 point lead for Ball State as the fourth quarter starts. Central Michigan is 5-5 on the road this season. They won this first meeting against Ball State earlier this season, and Tanara Moore, her 23rd point to start off the fourth quarter.
Something Ball State did so well in the first half was after Tanara Moore was able to get around Bennett, there was good help defense to keep her off the basket. The last few possessions as she's wrapped her way around Renee Bennett, we haven't seen that, and that's where those easy points come underneath the basket.
Moore tipped away by Morrison from behind. Morrison, 1-on-2 break. She takes it left side and can't connect. Presley Hudson retreats for the rebound. Jewel Cotton back in the game for Central Michigan with 3 personal fouls. Here's Aaliyah Swery for 3.
She wanted that one the moment they returned back on that possession. She was waving her arms up and she got it. Now Central Michigan has the lead by 2.
Only by 2 points, but Central Michigan's largest lead of the game. They've only led at 2 points. Renee Bennett blocked by Moore down low.
Long arms by Tanara Moore, able to keep Renee Bennett off of the glass and off of the glass for points as well.
Jewel Cotton is fouled. The drive baseline. Renee Bennett was there with the personal foul. Only Renee Bennett's first personal foul. A nice find by Presley Hudson to get Jewel Cotton that look on the corner.
And that's a situation where you really want to try to take a charge because you know that Jewel Cotton has 3 personal fouls, and if she's out of the game, all of a sudden there's a lot of mismatches favoring Ball State's way.
That's Jewel Cotton's first point of the afternoon. She's a player that averages 12 per game for this Central Michigan team. Was the 6th player of the year last season within the Mid-American Conference. Misses the second one. And Ball State has numbers. Grande lines up a 3. It's through! All tied at 63.
You felt the momentum back lift up in Worthen Arena, and all it took was that Carmen Grande 3, someone who hasn't been hot shooting throughout the last few games, and she just does it herself.
Grande has 13 points, connects on her first 3 of the afternoon. Tanara Moore looking to respond for Central Michigan. Taking Bennett off the bounce. Elects to give to Hudson. Floater, no good.
Talked about help defense earlier. Presley Hudson has been able to get by Carmen Grande quite a few times, and that's when help defense has been at its best, not allowing Presley Hudson to get those mid-range jumpers, because that's another point where she could kill you. She's really a triple threat from the arc, driving to the paint, and then your mid-range game.
Carmen Grande, another 3, same spot, misses this one. Still tied at 63. Presley Hudson only 4 points today. A player that averages 18 a game on the season. Swery's been hot. The step back 3, online but short. Grande, coast to coast, and a foul on Presley Hudson.
What a great play by Carmen Grande, being able to move the ball, and that's what Ball State's been trying to do all game long. She comes right at Presley Hudson, and that's the 3rd foul for the sophomore of Central Michigan.
Carmen Grande at the free throw line with the game all tied. We'll take this time to check in with Matt Craig.
Guys, Coach Brady Salee, pretty calm on the bench, pretty optimistic despite the Central Michigan comeback. The one thing he focused on in the huddle, he said rebounding, rebounding, rebounding. All 5 players have to rebound. If we win the rebounding battle here in the fourth quarter, we will win this game.
Matt, and a good message from Brady Salee. Central Michigan has the size advantage. Carmen Grande gives Ball State the 2-point lead with 2 free throws. 15 points now for the sophomore point guard out of Madrid, Spain.
After what Matt said, Ball State is leading that rebound game by 2.
Breen with the 3 on the other end. 20 points for Cassie Breen.
The Central Michigan Chippewas are starting to find their game again. It's outside the arc, and they're starting to hit.
Pretty pass from Grande to Monaco.
Threading the needle on that one. That's exactly why Carmen Grande, where you say how much she's improved, it's in all aspects of the game, but that's her bread and butter, is moving the offense around and creating opportunities for other players.
67-66, Ball State leads by 1. Moore catches down low, goes baseline, and is double teamed by Monaco. Ball State on the push. Franny Frazier wisely slows it up.
Late in games, we always see Mariah Monaco. She gets more aggressive, more into the game, and we saw it there. She was not afraid. She goes up against big players. Doesn't back down.
Washington and 1. An offensive rebound from Destiny Washington, and she converts on the foul.
What we talked about before this, Corey, at the end of the practice for Ball State shoot-around, it was hustle plays, and we just saw one right there, Destiny Washington. Coach Sally said rebounding, toughness, hustle plays, all of which have been in favor of your Ball State Cardinals.
Aaliyah Swery checks to the bench. She's been a fantastic player for Central Michigan today. Off the bench, she has 12 points, 5 of 9 from the field. But now Destiny Washington has a chance to make it a 2-possession game for Ball State. She does.
She had a great game in her last outing as well against Western Michigan. 6 of 7 from the field, 13 points. She really is an underrated player when a lot of people look at the women's basketball team from afar.
Washington in the last 6 games has been averaging 14 points per game. Now on the defensive end, Ball State responding. Washington tips it away, but Breen collects. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Breen, the step back, misses, and Renee Bennett corrals the rebound. Franny Frazier on the push, slows it up, and gets it back to Grande at the top of the key.
Once again, it was Ball State putting Central in a bad situation at the end of the shot clock, not allowing them to get a playoff. Cassie Breen, great shooter, Corey, but gee, that was a little too far back from the 3-point arc and well contested.
Grande controls, no passes this possession. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Grande lines up a 3, misses long, Central Michigan board.
How often do you see that? No passes in a possession. Carmen Grande waits till 5 seconds left. They're trying to drain as much clock off as they can, slow things down, but still no real play put together there. A bit surprising.
Breen now controls for Central Michigan. Double teamed, finds Moore. A long 3 from Moore. Off the backboard, no good. Hustle play by Ball State to get the rebound. A lob down to Washington. She collects and puts up.
How about Franny Frazier and Destiny Washington? Players that filled the role of Kaylin Jose, and they exceeded the expectations, and they've both just been working well off each other. You saw there, it was Frazier moving around and able to find Destiny Washington down low.
Washington with 15 points now. Here's Breen driving and fouled down low. Cassie Breen taking it upon herself. She has 20 points for Central Michigan, but Ball State still leads 72-66. We'll have fourth quarter action when we return. 72-66, Ball State with a 6-point lead with 4:04 remaining fourth quarter. These two teams met before in this season. Central Michigan was on top in that game, but this game has even more meaning than that game did back on January 11th. The Chippewas with the win today could clinch the MAC regular season title and the first seed in the MAC tournament. Ball State with the win today ties Central Michigan atop the MAC.
And of course, Central Michigan has that tiebreaker in the end when it comes down to the #1 seed. But at the same time, if Ball State were to get the win, and it would require Central Michigan to lose another game even if Ball State wants to take that #1 seed. But forcing it another game is huge for Ball State. And also, when you're talking about playing them later in the MAC tournament, if that were to happen, losing to a team twice, I know some people say, well, it might give you that extra motivation, but it's almost depressing whenever it's a team like Central Michigan who dominates the entire MAC.
5-point lead for Ball State as the Cardinals push back up. Breen only able to convert on one of the two free throws.
I'd say you got to keep going back to Destiny Washington. Taking a look at her, 6 of 10 from the field, and she's done a great job this fourth quarter.
2 seconds on the shot clock. Washington off the backboard. No good, and Central Michigan pushes the other way. Aaliyah Swery catches off the Hudson shovel. Cassie Breen with 20 points, 21 points today, knifes in through the lane and gets the 2 to fall.
Pretty play by Cassie Breen. She really did it all herself. Used the ball screen, but able to get inside the lane. Great shooter for Central Michigan. And Presley Hudson, she might only be 2 of 8, but don't be surprised if we start seeing her start shooting more beyond the arc at the end of this game, because when in doubt, it's Presley Hudson always for Central Michigan.
And when in doubt, it could be Renee Bennett down the stretch, but she misses the 2. Presley Hudson receives the basketball once again. Only 4 points today after having a career day against Ball State last time these two teams faced. She had 43 points. Hudson on the back cut. Pretty pass to Tanara Moore. 1-point lead for Ball State.
And the chemistry was there. Moore knew exactly what was going on when she drove baseline. Great job of crashing down underneath the rim. And you always have to remember, no matter what, if you're down 5, 1, 6 points, if you're the Central Michigan Chippewas, it could always just be 2 3-pointers, and then all of a sudden they have the lead.
1-point lead for Ball State. Washington left open in the corner, but not a 3-point shooter. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Now she takes the 3, and it rattles in. Destiny Washington just hits her second 3 on the season to give Ball State the 4-point lead.
She has been impressive this game, but look at that defensively too, almost another steal.
Swery misses and Washington skies for the rebound. Under 2 minutes to play. Ball State leads by 4 with a chance at tying atop the Mid-American Conference standings.
And I know that it's been Renee Bennett all day, but I say you just keep going to Destiny Washington. She's got something in her blood and she's feeling it.
Washington pump fakes and drives.
Renee Bennett down on the ground, holding her ankle.
5 on 4 for Central Michigan this possession. Swery puts in the easy 2.
She is limping pretty hard here.
Brady Sally will let the Cardinals play on. Now he will call a timeout once Carmen Grande crosses across half court, and the biggest concern in the arena is on Renee Bennett, the 6'5" senior out of Muskego, Wisconsin. Renee Bennett today has 18 points, tying a team high with Destiny Washington with 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining.
You don't know what that injury is, but she was laying on the ground, got up and just sprinted across the court as soon as she realized that the play was still going on. And she just fell awkwardly there, but as I said, she was able to move down. That's how tough she is as a player. She's not going to let the play go on without her. Tough player to not have on the court right now, though, Corey. Up 4, but still, that's a big presence down low.
And now we'll check in with Matt Craig with more insight on the timeout.
One thing I found very interesting at the timeout, guys, Coach Sugavara did not even bring the clipboard out. She said, in close games, it's all about heart, it's all about fights, not about X's and O's. Specifically, she appealed to Presley Hudson, who only has 4 points. As you guys said, only 43 points last time they played. She said you have to be aggressive down the stretch.
Thank you, Matt. With 52 seconds remaining, Ball State leads by 4. And look for Presley Hudson on Central Michigan's offensive possessions. But now Grande controls. Driving, between the legs dribble. Falls down, gets back up. 2 seconds remain. The reverse layup is blocked. Central Michigan basketball. Hudson pushes, guarded by Frazier. Best on-ball defender for Ball State. 25 seconds remain. Hudson lines up a 3, blocked by Frazier. Washington with the rebound and a foul from Tanara Moore and a yell from Destiny Washington.
How about those two right there? They're playing well off each other, and Franny Frazier gets the tip ball, able to get it into Destiny Washington's hands. Corey, that's been the story of the entire game, is the play of those two players right there. And you just see the excitement building here as Ball State is 18 seconds away from a victory, up 4.
Ball State not done yet. That foul does not put them in the bonus. That's only the 3rd team foul for Central Michigan. A 4-point lead for Ball State. Renee Bennett catches the inbounds pass as she's back in after the ankle injury. 4 team fouls now for Central Michigan. They have 1 more to give.
That's a good player you do want at the line to keep throwing it after is Renee Bennett. Carmen Grande, Jill Morrison, those kind of players. Really anybody on this court right now could hit you some good free throws.
Jill Morrison is the top free throw shooter on the team. Carmen Grande, though, is given the basketball. She's a player that Ball State relies on heavily down the stretch. A 75% free throw shooter will step to the line for these clutch free throws.
She's been in this situation before earlier on in this season. They were in this same kind of situation where they had a 4-point lead and it was just Carmen Grande back-to-back times to the free throw line.
Destiny Washington stays at the scorer's table, looking to check in for defense. Grande eyes the first one, and that one rims out. Carmen Grande, the sophomore point guard out of Madrid, Spain. Last game versus Central Michigan, she had 14 points and was 3 of 3 from the three-point line. Today, Carmen Grande has 15 points, and before that free throw was 2 of 2. Second one falls. 5-point lead for Ball State. A timeout from Sue Guevara.
You have to think that this is going to end up in the hands of Presley Hudson or Breen at some point throughout this play. I know Hudson has been struggling throughout this game, but as Matt just said, it's not about X's and O's, it's about who has more heart. And we know that at the end of the day, Presley Hudson, a sophomore guard, potential MAC player of the year, that's the person you want the ball in their hands.
Sue Guevara does bring out the clipboard for this timeout as they're drawing up an offensive set. A 3 would make it a 2-possession, rather a 2-point game. A 2-point basket would make it a 3-point game. Which one are you going with?
I'm going to go with the 3 outside with Cassie Breen or Presley Hudson. I know that they've been able to get the game going down low, but it's crunch time, and you know that Ball State's a good team at hitting free throws down the end of the game.
Breen gets the inbounds, cross-court skip to Presley Hudson. Hudson puts up the 2, misses. Monaco rebound. Ball State basketball with 9 seconds remaining and a 5-point lead. Mariah Monaco has a chance to make it a 3-possession game if she's able to get 2 free throws to fall.
A lot of excitement on the face of these Ball State Cardinals, but they know it's still not over yet. Mariah has to make one of these 2 free throws.
Mariah Monaco, a 72% free throw shooter on the season, has not taken a free throw yet today. Makes the first. She is 7 of 10 from the field today with 19 points now. And this free throw would make it a 2-possession game as Worthen falls silent. Three-possession game for Ball State. 7-point lead. Sue Guevara will take another timeout.
Phenomenal play here by your Ball State Cardinals throughout the end of this fourth quarter. We knew this game was going to be tight, Corey. It was Ball State lead for a majority of this game, but so many times Ball State, when they're playing with a top 4 team in the MAC, they're in the close game, and then the wheels kind of just fall off throughout the end of the game, and they're not able to hold on. This game, it's vice versa. They went up against the best team in the Mid-American Conference, and they've been holding this lead really throughout all of the game, all but just a couple times. 8 lead changes throughout this game, but that came at the beginning of the fourth quarter and throughout that.
And this today is the 76th meeting between these two teams. And Ball State has a chance to tie up the series history with a win today. Last time these two teams were in Worthen Arena, it was a 74-65 win for Central Michigan. That was last season. Last season, Ball State only had a 1-point loss against Central Michigan in Mount Pleasant. But Ball State has lost to Central Michigan 3 consecutive times, looking to snap that streak today. 7-point lead with 9 seconds remaining. Jewel Cotton to inbound for the Chippewas. Off the ball foul on Destiny Washington. Only 3 team fouls for Ball State though. So Central Michigan will not be in the bonus. And now Ball State already had a chance to look at the inbounds play. Hudson receives the basketball, pushes up a 3, misses, side of the backboard, rebound Destiny Washington, and it may be all but over. 4.4 seconds remain in the fourth quarter. 7-point lead for Ball State. Sue Guevara thought there should have been a foul call on that Presley Hudson shot.
She really did get nudged there a little bit by Carmen Grande. And the referees have been consistent throughout this game. They've been letting play happen and action occur throughout the course. But how about Destiny Washington? She ends up getting the rebound, and she's got 20 points on 12 rebounds this day.
A double-double for Destiny Washington, her 4th double-double on the season. Destiny Washington has increased her play off the bench. A transfer from Loyola University after her freshman season, a redshirt sophomore on this Ball State team. Misses the free throw, but Ball State doesn't seem to fret much because they know that they have a 7-point lead with only 4 seconds.
For Central Michigan, it really has been the road woes. That has to get some other teams in the MAC excited when you look at the MAC tournament. Now you're playing them outside of Mount Pleasant.
Central Michigan will take on Western Michigan on Wednesday in Kalamazoo. That's another road matchup in the MAC. Ball State wins 81-73. The Cardinals snap Central Michigan's 3-game win streak against Ball State. And Ball State ties up the series history between these two teams. These two teams hoping to meet again in the Mid-American Conference Tournament.
And you saw it there, these two coaches, Brady Sally and Sue Guevara, they exchanged a very long word to each other because there's so much history between these two. These are two of the best coaches in the Mid-American Conference, and it was matchups all across the board. I love that one.
And these two teams have not faced in the Mid-American Conference Tournament, but on that note, Brady Sally and Sue Guevara, now the all-time history between those two, 5-5, all tied up. As we will check in with Matt Craig, who is standing courtside with Brady Sally.
Coach Presley Hudson, 43 points against you guys last time, 4 points today. How were you able to slow her down?
Well, you know, we built a game plan that really had a lot to do with keeping her out of it. I thought Carmen Grande did a great job guarding her and being really disciplined. And then, you know, our team did their jobs on top of it. So you take those two things together, little fact that we're playing at home, good day for us.
With the win today, you're tied atop the MAC, 2 games to go. How important was it to finish off the game today?
Well, listen, you know, we're trying to win this thing, you know, and so we had to win this game. And yeah, it was against a team that's right there with us, but it doesn't mean anything if we don't go take care of business the next 2. So honestly, it was another one, and we had to win it. And if you're going to win a championship, you got to win them all.
Congratulations, Coach. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Matt, and special thank you to head coach of Ball State, Brady Sally. As Ball State moves to 13-3 in the Mid-American Conference, Central Michigan falls to 13-3. We'll be back with stats and analysis after this. (81-73), Ball State picks up the victory over the Central Michigan Chippewas, tying things at the top of the Mid-American Conference standings. And with that, we welcome you back alongside John Gordon. I'm Corey Stace. And John, although this only ties at the top of the MAC standings, this has to be huge, at least from a confidence standpoint, for Ball State to finally get a crack at the Chippewas.
Well, the first time these two teams played, Central Michigan played their best game, and now this time Ball State played their best game.
And Central Michigan was unable to come up with the victory today, and as we take a look back at the highlights, Ball State, a lot of it was Renee Bennett down low.
Renee Bennett had a great game, 18 points, and that was the real game plan we were talking about, how Ball State was going to do that. They went high-low as they've done all season, and we see here Carmen Grande, she didn't have the best numbers offensively for points, but she was able to facilitate this offense, and really Ball State dominated on a lot of points of the statistical category for this game.
And Central Michigan was able to get a few baskets to fall, but just not enough down the stretch. Tanara Moore was huge for the Chippewas. She finished with 25 points. As we take a look at the final stats, obviously the Ball State Cardinals win 81-73. The rebounding margin, Brady Sallee made such a big deal about that all through practice and at the end of the game, and Ball State wins that battle by 5.
And you look at the turnovers for Central Michigan, 11 turnovers. Ball State converted 17 points off that. That's efficient for the Ball State Cardinals. That was a big stat. Central Michigan only had 2 points off of Ball State's 6 turnovers. And now Central Michigan still has that tiebreaker against Ball State, but at the same time, Central just loses one more, and Ball State could be having that #1 seed with the MAC title.
The Ball State Cardinals tie at the top of the MAC standings with Central Michigan. Central Michigan does have the tiebreaker, but Ball State has 2 games remaining. Tonight's NCAA men's basketball game between Ball State and the Central Michigan Chippewas is a production of Ball State Sports Link and directed by J.C. Obringer. For producer Aaron Casey and for my partners Matt Craig and John Gordon, I'm Corey Stace saying so long from Muncie, where the final score is Ball State 81, Central Michigan 73. To watch this entire game on replay as well as other games in our family of ESPN networks, log on to Watch ESPN or download the Watch ESPN app.